God, have you forgotten about me? That's a question that every one of us has asked at some point in our lives, whether we admit it or not. A child asks this when they're ignored by their parents. A spouse feels it when their partner doesn't give them the time of day. And a believer cries out with it when prayer after prayer goes unanswered. But what happens when someone actually does forget about you? When they forget your name, your face, even their love for you? This is an experience many of us are all too familiar with, but how many of us really know how to handle it? Welcome to another exciting episode right here on our channel, where we discuss everything and anything under the sun. And today, we're going to talk about God. Have you forgotten about me? Now, this is a song that was sung by a popular artist. And if you've ever been through a period in your life where you felt that God had turned a deaf ear to your prayers, then you'd probably connect with this song on a very deep level. We all go through seasons in our lives where things do unseem to be working out how we want them to. Maybe you've prayed about something for a long time, but you haven't seen an answer yet. Or perhaps you've been going through a difficult situation and you feel like you're not being heard. Whatever the reason may be, sometimes it can feel like God has forgotten about us. However, we need to remember that just because we don't see an answer right away, it doesn't mean that God isn't listening. In fact, the Bible tells us that He hears even the sparrow's cry and knows the number of the hairs on our head. So even when we feel like God has forgotten about us, we need to trust that He hasn't and that He has a plan for our lives. It might not always make sense to us, but we need to remember that His ways are higher than our ways, and His thoughts than our thoughts. So even when we feel like God has forgotten about us, we need to hold on to our faith and trust that He's got a bigger picture that we're not able to see right now. You see, sometimes we get so caught up in our own plans and desires that we forget to look to God for guidance. We need to remember that He's in control and that His timing is perfect. Just because we do unsee an answer right away doesn't mean that God is unworking behind the scenes. We need to trust that He's got a plan for us and that His timing is perfect. But there are times when we are deliberately ignored. And while it may be difficult to admit, when they no longer care about what we have to say or do, when they don't even recognize us anymore, it's a feeling that can be difficult to shake off. But it's important to remember that we are not defined by other people's actions. Their behavior says more about them than about us. When someone ignores us, it doesn't mean that we're not worthy of love or attention. It just means that they're not able to give it to us. In these situations, the best thing we can do is to focus on ourselves and our own happiness. Sure, it's easier said than done. When someone we care about ignores us, it can be difficult to move on. But it's important to remember that we deserve to be with someone who values and respects us. Someone who makes us feel loved and appreciated. When someone ignores us, it's time to move on. It may not be easy, but it's important to remember that we deserve to be with someone who values and respects us. Someone who makes us feel loved and appreciated. It's important to focus on our own happiness and well-being rather than wasting our time on someone who does uncare about us. So if you're going through a situation where you feel like God has forgotten about you, just know that He hasn't. He's always with you, even when you feel alone. Trust in His perfect timing and know that He's got a bigger plan for you that you can't see right now. And if someone in your life is ignoring you, just know that their behavior says more about them than about you. You deserve to be with someone who values and respects you. Don't waste your time on someone who doesn't care about you. Focus on your own happiness and well-being instead. Now, let us take a look at a couple of verses from the Bible that can give us some insight into this topic. Psalm 137, verse 1. By the rivers of Babylon we sat down, yea, we wept when we remembered thee. O Jerusalem, how our hands were empty. Our foes there mocked us, our lips until we were forced to sing. This psalm was written by the Israelites when they were in exile in Babylon. They were far from their home, and their hearts were heavy with longing. They looked back to the good old days when they were living in Jerusalem, and God was protecting them. They cried out to God for help, but it didn't seem like He was listening. It must have felt like God had forgotten about them. But despite their sadness and despair, they refused to give up hope. They knew that God was still in control, and that He would eventually bring them back home. Another passage that speaks to this is Isaiah 49:14. But now, Lord, what have I found? My people are like lost sheep. They are like lambs being led away. If you say, Lord, I have suffered for my people, Israel, according to my holy calling. I have given myself to them who are not a nation before you, and I have called those who are not my people, my people. And thus says the Lord God, if I have not established day and night, or created the day and night, then your offspring will also cease to be before me as a nation, says the Lord. Thus says the Lord, who has redeemed you, Jacob, and He who formed you, Israel. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. These words were spoken by the prophet Isaiah to the people of Israel when they were in exile in Babylon. Through Isaiah, God reminds His people that He hasn't forgotten about them. Even though they feel abandoned and alone, He assures them that He has a plan to bring them back home. He promises to make them a great nation again and to restore their fortunes. Despite the hardships they are facing, God encourages them to have faith in Him and to trust in His promises. These Bible passages teach us some important lessons. When we feel like God has forgotten about us, we need to remember that He is still in control. Even when we go through difficult times, we should never give up hope, because God always has a plan for us. No matter how bad things may seem, we need to trust in His promises and believe that He will come through for us. Furthermore, these passages remind us that we are not alone in our struggles. God is with us every step of the way, and He will never leave us or forsake us. We can always turn to Him for help and strength, knowing that He is eager to help us through whatever challenges we may face. Lastly, these Bible passages encourage us to keep going when things get tough. Even when we feel like giving up, we need to remember that God has a purpose for us and that we are capable of achieving our dreams. We just need to trust in ourselves and have faith in God's plan for us. As we come to the end of today's episode, we hope that you've gained some valuable insights from the Bible passages we've discussed. Remember, even when you feel like God has forgotten about you, He is still with you and He has a plan for you. Never give up hope and always keep the faith. If you enjoyed today's episode and want to see more videos like this, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.